chosen one. Heaven has seen your decision. It was in that quiet place, when no one was watching, that you chose the higher road. You said no to compromise, no to the easy way, and yes to the whisper of God's Spirit inside you. That moment, unseen by men, was not missed by heaven. Listen to me. Heaven paused for you. The angels marked the record of your obedience, and the Father himself looked down and said, "This child of mine has chosen well. There is no mistake here. You did the right thing." And that choice carried weight beyond what you can imagine. It is like a seed dropped into the soil, small, invisible at first, but destined to grow into something mighty. You may have thought it was just another moment in a long, tiring journey, but that moment was not small. It was eternal. Chosen one. Can you feel it? The delight of God resting over you, the Father's heart swelling with joy because, instead of chasing what the world offered, you listened to his voice. And this is why I must remind you, you are not ordinary. You are a marked one, called out, set apart. Imagine a traveler on a dark road. At the crossroads stands a flickering lantern. Most passers-by ignore it, chasing shortcuts into the shadows. But one stops, kneels, and lights their torch from that small flame. That is you. You chose light over darkness, truth over deception, and heaven rejoiced. The Word of God declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight." This is the truth written over your life. The choice you made was you trusting the Lord when it would have been easier to trust your own reasoning. You stepped back from the edge and said, "God, I choose you, even if it costs me comfort." And because of that, he himself is straightening your path, even in ways you cannot see yet. Think of Joseph in the dungeon, waiting, misunderstood, forgotten by men, yet remembered by God. He too made the right choices when temptation came knocking. When bitterness whispered at his door, he refused to compromise. And because of that, a crown awaited him. Your story is not different. Let me give you another image. A painter with a nearly finished canvas. Every brushstroke seems random up close. But when you step back, you see the masterpiece. Your obedience is one of those strokes. Right now, it feels small, but heaven is painting something breathtaking through it. So I speak directly to your heart. Do not underestimate what you just did. Do not call it little. The Lord of heaven and earth calls it precious. You shifted the atmosphere. You silenced the enemy's accusations. You gave God glory when no one else was there to applaud. Chosen one. If this word is reaching you, it is not chance. It is divine timing. And I want to invite you, if this has touched you, to do something simple yet powerful. Take a moment and type in the comments, "I did the right thing." That declaration is not just words, it is prophecy over your life. And while you are here, stay connected. Like this message if it stirred your heart. Share it so another weary soul might be strengthened. And subscribe so you never miss what heaven is speaking over you. Because this is not the end. This is the beginning of a deeper journey. And you will need every word. Chosen one. Let me end this section with a whisper from heaven. Your Father is proud of you. He saw, he knew, And he smiled. You did the right thing. And heaven has recorded your choice. Chosen one. Do you realize what your decisions stirred in the heart of God when you chose obedience over ease? His delight overflowed like a river. The Father's joy is not distant or abstract. It is real. And it is directed at you. Your life, your choice, has brought him pleasure. Think of this. When a parent watches their child take their first steps, there is pride and laughter. Even if the steps are shaky, the child may not even understand what they just accomplished. But the parent's heart is bursting. That is how God looks at you right now. Your step of obedience, though it may have felt small, caused heaven to smile. You must know this. The world applauds visible victories, promotions, recognition, applause. These are the things men celebrate. But God celebrates what is hidden. He rejoices over the moments you chose honesty when lying would have been easier, purity when compromise was near, patience when anger pressed hard. Heaven counts these as triumphs greater than any crown the world could offer. There is a mystery in this. The unseen choices carry eternal weight. When no one clapped for you, heaven erupted in praise. When no one thanked you, the Father's heart whispered, "Well done." That whisper carries more authority than 1,000 cheers from men. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a musician in a quiet room, playing a melody no audience hears. Every note is simple, fragile, but above, the windows of heaven open, and the throne room is filled with the sound. That is, your obedience played in secret, resounding in eternity. God's delight is not performance-based, it is heart-based. He is not waiting for you to build kingdoms of stone or accomplish feats of glory before men. He rejoices when your heart bows low before him. He delights in the hidden yes, the whispered prayer, the surrendered tear. We are reminded through the writings of David in the book of Psalms, chapter 147, verse 11. The Lord delights in those who fear him, who put their hope in his unfailing love. This is what pleased God in you. Not perfection, but reverence. You chose to honor him, to place your hope in his love when it would have been easier to depend on yourself. That choice pierced through the heavens and reached his throne. I know you have wrestled with doubt. You have asked yourself, was it worth it? Did anyone even see? And heaven answers with a resounding yes. Not only was it worth it, it shifted things in realms you cannot yet perceive. Remember the farmer who plants in the early morning. No one watches him as he kneels in the dirt, dropping seeds into the soil. There is no applause, no recognition. Yet, in time, fields burst into harvest. That is what your obedience has done. It has planted eternal seeds that will yield fruit in seasons to come. So carry this truth close. God is not indifferent toward you. He is not merely watching from afar. He is leaning in, rejoicing, speaking your name with affection. Your obedience has moved his heart. And that chosen one is no small thing. And when the world underestimates you, heaven elevates you. When you feel unseen, he calls you beloved in his courts. You are treasured, and your faith has become a fragrance rising before his throne. Chosen one. There are things God allows you to walk through that others never see. It is not because you are forgotten, it is because you are trusted. What others would have stumbled over, you carried in silence. And that silence became worship before God. every tear you shed, every moment you whispered, "Lord, I don't understand, but I choose you," was not wasted. Heaven records what people ignore. You may think it was just survival, but in the spirit it was victory. Let me tell you a story. There was once a chosen one who endured a long season of waiting. Months turned into years. Prayers seemed unanswered, and discouragement pressed heavily. Friends said, "Move on. Let it go." But deep inside, this one clung to the promises of God. That waiting room was painful, yet in it, character was forged, and faith became unshakable. Later, when breakthrough came, it was clear every hidden decision to keep trusting was the true victory. That same story echoes in your life now. Picture it this way. A blacksmith bends over glowing metal. The fire is hot. The hammer strikes hard. Sparks fly everywhere. To the untrained eye, it looks like destruction. But in reality, a blade is being shaped, sharpened, and prepared for purpose. That is you. The fire and the blows were never to destroy you, but to prepare you. This is why your hidden obedience carries such weight. It may look like nothing has changed, but in the heavens, there was movement. Every act of faith resisted the schemes of the enemy. Every surrender broke down walls the enemy thought were unshakable. The apostle reminds us in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Oh, hear this well. The struggle is not the end. It is a weightlifter for your soul, building strength that will carry you into the next season. God is using what hurt you to prepare you. He wastes nothing. So now, I want to invite you to a prophetic act. In the comments, type, "My faith stands." Do not just write it as a phrase. Let it become your declaration. You are telling heaven that no matter the storm, your faith is not collapsing. You are telling the enemy that your roots are too deep to be torn out. You are reminding your own heart that you are anchored, not drifting. My faith stands means this: I will not be shaken by unanswered prayers. I will not be moved by the delay. I will not surrender my crown to discouragement. It means that even in weakness, your soul is shouting, God is still worthy, and I will not bow to despair. Chosen one. Understand this truth. The strength of your faith is not measured when everything is easy, but when nothing makes sense and you still cling to God. And that is exactly what you have done. Heaven calls it victory. And listen carefully. Your faith standing today is prophecy for tomorrow. It is a banner raised in the spirit realm. It tells future battles, I have already been tested, and I will not fall. It tells your descendants, I kept believing, and you can too. And it tells your own weary heart, even in the fire, I remain unbroken. This is not just survival. This is testimony being written with your very life. Chosen one. You must understand something sacred. The tests you walked through were not random. They were divinely measured, perfectly timed, and deeply significant. To men, it may have looked like a minor situation, a choice unnoticed, too small to matter. But in the eyes of heaven, it was a holy test. God often disguises the greatest tests in the smallest garments, the whisper you almost ignored, the opportunity to compromise you quietly refused. The temptation that looked harmless but carried destruction, all of these were examinations, not to shame you, not to break you, but to reveal the depth of your heart. Think about Abraham. His greatest test came not in battle with kings, not in managing wealth or cattle, but in one quiet command: offer up Isaac. What could have seemed unreasonable was the ultimate test of obedience. Though the world did not witness it, heaven saw, and heaven responded with blessing. So it was with you. You may think, did my decision really matter? Yes, it mattered more than you know. The small obedience no one applauded became a roar in the spirit realm. It silenced accusations. It marked you as trustworthy. It proved your love for God was greater than your hunger for convenience. Picture this: a scale in the heavens. One side weighed with years of generational patterns. Then, with one decision, your obedience drops onto the other side, and the scale tips forever. That is what happened. You passed the hidden test, and the trajectory of your story shifted, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 2, remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years, to humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commands. No, this was not punishment, it was proof. God already knew your heart, but he allowed the test so you could see the truth of who you are in him. You are not weak. You are not easily swayed. You are a carrier of obedience, even in the wilderness. Another image, a tree in strong wind. At first glance, it looks like the wind is trying to break it, but in reality, the wind forces roots deeper, strengthening the trunk, making the tree unshakable for storms yet to come. That is the hidden test. You thought it might destroy you, but it was actually securing you. There was a chosen one who once shared their testimony. They said the most defining moment of their life was not the day of public breakthrough, but the day of private decision. They turned away from something no one else would have judged them for. Friends would have said, "It's not that serious." But heaven saw, and years later, that small obedience became the foundation for every open door. That is what God is doing in you. He is building a foundation that will not crack. Foundations are not glamorous. They are hidden underground. But without them, nothing lasting can stand. You are becoming that foundation. Chosen one. Understand this well. You did not stumble into obedience. You were shaped for it. Every past struggle, every waiting season, every unanswered prayer was preparing you for that moment of decision. When the test came, you were ready. Even if you doubted yourself, and heaven saw, hold this close, the test revealed your heart, and your heart revealed your love. That love is why God delights in you. That love is why you are being entrusted with more. And that love, proven in secret, will echo into eternity. Chosen one, there is something you must realize. The moment you obeyed, it was not just your life that shifted. Heaven itself took notice, and the unseen world reacted. The angels celebrated, but the enemy trembled, because your choice broke a chain that had held your family line for years. Do not underestimate this. What seemed small in your hands was thunder in the spirit. It was as if you picked up a stone like David and hurled it against a giant. The battle did not end with noise and spectacle. It ended with a single decisive strike. That is what your decision has done. Think of a river that has been dammed for decades. The water strains against the barrier. Generations of flow trapped. Pressure. Building. Then one act. One push. One crack in the wall, and the flood bursts forth. You are that crack. Your obedience opened the way for the river to flow again. Not just for you, but for those after you. We find in the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15, "Choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Oh, Joshua spoke these words not only as a declaration, but as a turning point for his lineage. And so have you. Your choice declared, "My house belongs to God." You drew a line in the sand, and hell cannot cross it. Let me give you another image. Imagine a torch lit in the night. One flame becomes two. Two become 10. And soon the darkness is driven back by a fire that spreads without restraint. That torch is in your hand. By choosing God when it was hard, you lit something that cannot be contained. And this is where I invite you into something deeper. What you have received is not meant to stay with you alone. A flame burns brighter when it is shared. Every time you allow this message of obedience and joy to flow outward, you are not just pressing a button, you are passing the torch. So when I ask you, chosen one, to like this message, do not see it as a task. See it as raising your light higher, so that someone stumbling in the dark might glimpse the glow and find hope when you share it. Do not see it as a routine action. See it as placing a torch in another's hand, a silent gesture that says, "Here, take courage, walk in the light too." And when you subscribe, see it not as following a channel, but as stepping into a circle around the fire, where others gather, where stories of obedience are told, and where the embers never die. It is not compulsion, it is communion. Chosen one, I am not here to pressure you. Heaven never forces love, it always invites us. Just as you chose God freely, you are free here too. But imagine how beautiful it would be if your small act today became the spark that lifted another soul from despair. Your obedience already broke chains. Your torch already burns. Now the question is this: will you let it shine for someone else? Remember, a river flowing touches more than one shore. A flame burning warms more than one heart. Your life is not just for you, it is for the many who will be touched by your yes. So let the light you carry move outward. Let what you received overflow, and let heaven's joy in you become heaven's gift through you. Chosen one. Every act of obedience is not just a moment, it is a seed. Seeds look small, but inside them is the power to grow into a harvest you cannot yet see. The moment you said yes to God, you planted something eternal, and heaven is already watering it. Your choice was not wasted. You may feel as though nothing has changed, but in the unseen world, roots are already spreading, reaching deep into God's promises. One day, what was hidden will push through the soil, and others will see the fruit of what you planted in faith. Consider Abraham again. He trusted God enough to leave his homeland without knowing where he was going. Every step felt uncertain, but every step was a seed planted into the soil of obedience. Generations later, the entire nation of Israel sprang forth from what looked like one man's small yes, no, and now you, too, have stepped into that pattern. You said yes when it was costly. You said yes when no one clapped. That yes will ripple outward, touching lives you may never meet. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 12, verse 24, "Very truly I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. Now, this is the truth over you. Your sacrifice is not a loss. It is multiplication in disguise. The thing you gave up is not gone. It has been planted, and in God's time, it will return to you, multiplied, overflowing, abundant beyond measure." Think of it like this. A farmer kneels in a bare field. The soil looks empty, silent, unpromising, but he plants anyway. He covers the seed, walks away, and trusts the process. Weeks later, green shoots rise from the ground, and soon the whole field is alive with harvest. That is your story. Right now, you are in the in-between season, the seed hidden in the soil, but heaven sees the harvest already. And because this is prophetic, I want you to do something symbolic. In the comments, type 444. This number is not random. It is a prophetic act. It represents the building of God's structure in your life, stable, unshakable, firmly set on His foundation. When you type it, you are declaring, "My life is being built brick by brick, not by my strength, but by the hand of God." When you write 444, you are aligning yourself with heaven's blueprint. You are saying, "I am no longer scattered. I am established. I am rooted. I am grounded. I am secure." It is a number of completion in process, reminding you that though the work is ongoing, the foundation is already set. So let this be more than typing. Let it be your faith in motion. Just as farmers plant seeds with expectation, you are planting a declaration. Every number you write is like a seed pressed into the ground. Heaven will see it, and in due season, you will see fruit. Chosen one. The world says seeds vanish. Heaven says seeds multiply. The world says sacrifice is loss. Heaven says sacrifice is gain. And you are living proof of that. Your obedience was the seed. Your tears were the water. Your faith was the sunlight. And now, your harvest will come not because you forced it, but because God Himself is faithful to bring it forth. So lift your eyes and see it. A field stretching far and wide, golden with grain, ready for the sickle. That is your reward. And it all began with one hidden yes. Chosen one. Do not be surprised that the moment you obeyed, the enemy grew restless. Your obedience disrupted his plans. What he thought would trap you instead became the very thing that elevated you. Hell had prepared a net, but you walked straight through it, and the cords snapped. This is why the resistance after obedience sometimes feels stronger. The enemy is not merely angry, he is terrified. He knows that once you choose obedience, you step into a place of authority he cannot touch. What was once a foothold is now sealed by your yes to God. Imagine a fortress under siege. The enemy believes he has found a weak point in the wall, but when he approaches, he finds not weakness, but reinforced stone, stronger than before. That is your spirit after obedience. What was once a vulnerable place has now become fortified. The Word of God declares in the book of James, chapter 4, verse 7, "Submit yourselves, then, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. That is not poetry, it is reality. Your submission to God has forced the enemy to retreat. He tried to wear you down, but obedience has driven him out. It is not only that you resisted temptation, it is that your obedience has changed the very ground beneath your feet. Think back for a moment. How many times did the enemy whisper lies, saying your obedience would not matter? He said you were wasting strength, that no one cared, that nothing would change. Yet everything changed. His lies crumbled the moment you chose truth. Another picture, a chess game. The enemy believes he has you cornered. The board, nearly full. But then, in one unexpected move, the king shifts, and the entire game turns. That one move was your obedience. What looked like defeat became the pathway to victory. The reality is this: obedience is not weakness. It is warfare. It confuses the enemy, silences accusations, and breaks his strategies. He planned to exploit your weakness, but your yes to God turned weakness into strength. This is why the pressure was so intense. The darkness sensed what was at stake. The harder the temptation pulled, the greater the breakthrough on the other side. And now that you have stood, you carry an authority you did not carry before. Think of Daniel in Babylon. The decree was signed, the lion's den prepared, the outcome certain. Yet Daniel's obedience, his refusal to bow, his choice to pray, turned the enemy's trap into God's platform. What was meant to kill him became the stage for God's glory. Your life carries the same rhythm. The trap has become testimony. Now there is peace in the aftermath. The storm has passed, but its purpose remains. You walked through fire, and instead of burning, you shine brighter. The very place the enemy tried to destroy you is now the very place God will display you. Chosen one. Do not fear the enemy's rage. His anger is evidence of his defeat. If he still believed he had power over you, he would not be so desperate. The truth is, your obedience has sealed his loss. Hold this in your spirit. Obedience disarms darkness. Where once he had permission, now the door is shut. Where once he had a weapon, now it lies broken at his feet. And the sound of that breaking is the song of your victory. So walk forward, steady and unshaken. The enemy's plans have collapsed, but God's purposes remain. And it all began with one act of trust. One hidden yes. One eternal decision. Chosen one. What you may not realize is that obedience does more than shield you. It aligns you. Every time you choose God above all else, your feet land exactly where his path runs. What felt like a detour was in fact a step into alignment with his perfect will. Alignment is not about everything looking neat to the eye. It is about the unseen order of heaven being mirrored in your life. When your yes matches his voice, the road opens before you. Even if it looks narrow, the steps of the righteous are not random, they are ordered. It was proclaimed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Irones, your obedience is what allowed God to establish your steps. He took the map from your trembling hands and began to chart the route himself. To others, it may look like you lost something, but in truth, you gained direction. And that direction is priceless. Think of it this way. A sailor out at sea adjusts the sails to catch the wind. Even a small adjustment changes the entire journey, shifting the destination by hundreds of miles. That is what happened when you obeyed. It may have felt like a small correction, but in the spirit, it reoriented the entire course of your life. There was once a chosen one who resisted the urge to compromise in business, though the cost was high to his peers. It looked like he had missed an opportunity, but years later, the very integrity he kept became the foundation of trust that opened greater doors. What looked like loss was simply God aligning his steps to the path of honor, and the same is true for you. Your yes to God has drawn a straight line where before there was confusion, where you once stumbled. Clarity is coming, where you once questioned. Peace is unfolding. Alignment does not remove struggle, but it gives struggle purpose. Imagine a river winding down from the mountains. Rocks, bends, and obstacles lie along its path, yet it always flows back into its course. Your life is like that river. Every time you obey, you realign to the channel carved by God's hand. The flow may look hindered, but the destination is certain. This is why your decision carried such weight. Obedience was not just about avoiding sin, it was about stepping into place. Heaven shifted pieces around you, arranging connections, moving barriers, even turning hearts, all because your yes gave him permission. Chosen one, do not underestimate the power of alignment. When your spirit is aligned with God, delays are redeemed, mistakes are repurposed, and even broken places become part of the story. What once looked wasted becomes woven into the masterpiece. So walk in this assurance: you are not lost. You are aligned. Every step forward is not guesswork, but grace. And because of this alignment, what is ahead of you will not miss you. God has already gone before, and your obedience has simply placed you on the path where his promises wait. And remember this: alignment does not mean ease, but it does mean clarity. It means doors will open that confusion once kept shut. It means the path, though narrow, will always lead you forward. Most of all, it means heaven walks in rhythm with you, every step of the way. Chosen one, what you decided did not stop with you. Every yes you give to God ripples outward, like a stone cast into still water. The circles expand far beyond the point of impact. Someone you may never meet will find courage because of your obedience. Someone weary will rise again because of the stand you took in silence. This is the mystery of the kingdom. Your choices echo. The smallest act of obedience becomes a trumpet in someone else's wilderness. You may think, I only made a quiet decision. But in God's hands, that decision travels farther than your eyes can see. Picture this: a candle lit in a window on a stormy night. The flame seems fragile, but for the traveler stumbling in the rain, that light becomes salvation. They see it from a distance. They walk toward it, and hope returns. That is what your obedience has become: light for someone else's journey. According to what is revealed in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 24, and let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds. This is what you are doing without even realizing it. By standing firm, you are spurring others forward. Your hidden faith is not just for you, it is a spark that ignites courage in hearts nearby and even in places you do not know. Let me tell you about one, chosen one. They had endured years of loneliness, wondering if their prayers mattered. Then, one day, They heard a testimony of someone else who had chosen obedience in a dark season. That story lit a fire inside them. Suddenly, they could believe again. They could stand again. And it all came from a ripple, a choice made in secret that touched a soul in silence. You may never see the full measure of your impact, but heaven says, and heaven will show you one day just how many lives were altered because you stood when it was hardest to stand. So here is what I want you to do as a prophetic act. Type in the comments. Hope lives. Do not see it as a casual phrase. See it as a proclamation. When you write, "Hope lives," you are speaking over yourself, over your family, over unseen people who are reading silently. You are declaring, the light has not gone out. The story is not finished. Hope still breathes, and it will not die. This declaration matters. It pushes back the shadows. It tells despair it cannot win. It becomes like that candle in the storm, seen by someone who desperately needed a sign that they are not alone. Chosen one. Never underestimate what flows from your life when you choose God. Even your quietest yes sends shockwaves through eternity. Even your smallest act of surrender becomes someone else's miracle. And heaven is proud of you, because through you, others will rise. Through you, hope lives. And hope does more than comfort. It multiplies. It spreads like a melody sung in a darkened room until every corner is touched by sound. Your obedience created that melody. Your courage wrote those notes. And the song you began will be carried by voices you will never hear on this side of eternity. But heaven will replay it, echoing the truth. Hope lives because you believed. Chosen one. Obedience in the hidden place has positioned you for more. What you decided in silence has written a new chapter that is about to unfold. Heaven does not waste your yes, it multiplies it. And now, you are standing at the doorway of greater assignments, prepared for battles you once could not imagine facing. Think of it like this: a soldier who trains in the quiet barracks, lifting weights, running drills, sweating when no one cheers. On the day of battle, that hidden preparation becomes strength. So it is with you. Your private obedience was training, and now your spirit is battle-ready, clothed in a strength the world cannot measure. Another picture: a seed buried in the soil. For a season, it looks like nothing is happening, but inside the darkness, the seed is splitting. Roots are forming. Life is stirring. And one morning, the soil breaks open, and green shoots rise. That moment is coming for you, the outward expression of the hidden work. The prophet reminds us in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7. The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. Your obedience has made God himself your refuge. And when he is your refuge, no storm can sweep you away. No enemy can uproot you. No wave can drown you. Chosen one. This is why I must gently invite you. Let what you've received not remain only within you. What God has deposited is meant to flow outward, to strengthen another weary heart, to light another dark road. When I ask you to like this message, I do not mean it as a duty. Think of it as adding your voice to a choir. One voice alone is soft, but when joined with many, it becomes a symphony. By lifting your hand in this small act, you are saying, I stand with heaven's song. When I invite you to share this, It is not a command. It is an image of a torch passed hand to hand. Imagine a line of travelers, each holding fire in the night. One gives it to another, and the darkness retreats further and further. Sharing is more than a click. It is participation in spreading light. And when I speak of subscribing, it is not about numbers. It is about fellowship. Picture a circle around a fire, where each person adds wood, so the flame never dies. Subscribing is simply you stepping closer into that circle, saying, I will not watch from afar, I will sit where the warmth is, where the stories are told, where the fire never fades. These are not obligations, they are invitations. Invitations to step deeper into the flow of what God is already doing in you. Invitations to let the fire in your heart become part of something larger, something that touches lives you may never meet. And the beauty is this: you are always free. Just as love must be freely given, so too must your actions here. But if you feel the stirring, if you sense heaven's nudge, know that even the smallest act can ripple outward in eternity. Chosen one, the doorway is open. You are stepping into greater things, and your story is not slowing, it is accelerating. Every yes builds upon the last. Every obedience opens a wider path. Every step makes you stronger. So let your heart be at peace. You are exactly where you need to be. And heaven is smiling, because the one who obeyed in silence will soon shine in fullness. And in that shining, many others will find their way. Chosen one, the journey you have walked has left marks upon you. And those marks are not shame, they are testimony. Every scar, every bruise of the heart, every night you thought would break you has become a story etched into your soul. And those stories will not fade away. They will become light for others. Your scars are sacred. They are not reminders of defeat, but of survival. They are like the cracks in clay pots that allow the light inside to shine outward. Without those cracks, the pot would look smooth, but remain dark within. Because of what you endured, light now streams through, and the world can see God's glory in places they thought were broken. As the Apostle writes in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 9, "But he said to me, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." And do you see it? Your weakness was not a failure. It was the very place God chose to reveal his strength. The scars you carry are living proof that grace held you when nothing else could. Let me give you an image. Think of a tree struck by lightning. For a moment, it looks ruined. The bark is scarred, the trunk wounded. Yet in time, new branches sprout, green leaves return, and fruit begins to grow again. The scar remains, but it is not the end of the tree. It is part of its testimony of resilience. So it is with you. There was once a chosen one who walked through betrayal. Friends turned away. Trust was shattered, and loneliness wrapped like chains. They thought the wound would define them forever. Yet years later, that scar became their story of hope. They could look someone else in the eye, someone who was also betrayed, and say, I know this pain, but I also know the God who heals. That scar became a bridge of healing for another soul. Your scars will do the same. The very places where you bled will one day be the places you bless others. What tried to silence you will become the platform for your voice, What tried to bury you will become the soil from which your testimony grows. Imagine gold refined by fire. The process removes impurities, but it also strengthens what remains. When artisans repair broken pottery in Japan, they fill the cracks with gold, making the vessel more valuable than before it broke. That is how heaven sees your scars. They are not ugly, they are beauty, remade by grace, shining with divine worth. And here is the mystery. Scars are not just for you. They are for those who will one day meet you and see hope in your survival. They are for the ones who think, "No one could understand my pain." When they hear your story, they will know they are not alone. Chosen one, never hide the scars. Do not cover them in shame. Let them be seen, for they are the fingerprints of God's mercy on your life. They are proof that though the storm struck, it did not consume you. Though the fire burned, it did not destroy you. So walk with courage, marked but not marred, scarred but not broken. Every line upon your soul testifies, "I endured, and grace carried me through." And because of that, your scars are no longer wounds, they are weapons of hope. Chosen one, everything you have endured, every sacrifice you made in the hidden place, is not forgotten. Heaven counts nothing as wasted. The sleepless nights, the moments of quiet surrender, the battles fought in silence, all of them are seeds in God's hand. And those seeds are about to multiply. There is a rhythm in God's kingdom. Obedience leads to multiplication. You may feel as if you lost something when you chose God's way, but the truth is, you planted it. And what is planted in faith always comes back in abundance. As written in the book of Hosea, chapter 10, verse 12, "Sow righteousness for yourselves, reap the fruit of unfailing love, and break up your unplowed ground, for it is time to seek the Lord, until he comes and showers his righteousness on you." That is the promise over you. Your sowing was not in vain. Your obedience has broken up hard ground. The rain of heaven is already gathering, and the fields of your life will soon be covered with fruit you did not think possible. Picture this: a vineyard that looks barren after winter. Branch appear lifeless, the ground cold, the vines stripped bare. Yet, beneath the surface, roots are alive, drawing strength, and in the appointed season, leaves burst forth, blossoms appear, and the vineyard becomes lush again. That is the season you are stepping into. The barrenness was temporary, the fruit is certain. There was once a chosen one who gave up an opportunity others thought was too good to refuse. It cost them relationships. It cost them comfort. It even cost them reputation. But in time, what they planted through obedience brought forth a harvest far beyond what they imagined. Years later, they could look back and say, "I never truly lost, I only sowed." And so it will be with you. The world may think you forfeited something, but heaven knows you sowed something. You traded what was temporary for what is eternal, what was fleeting for what is lasting. This is why I want you to make a prophetic declaration today. In the comments, type 5555. This number is not random. It symbolizes divine grace multiplied, seasons shifting, and open doors that no man can shut. It carries the sound of transition, grace covering your past, grace opening your present, and grace guiding you into your future. When you type 5,555, you are declaring, "Grace is surrounding me on every side. My story is not stuck, it is shifting. What once felt closed is opening. What once was delayed is moving forward by the hand of God." Do not see this as digits on a screen. See it as a seed of faith pressed into the ground. Each 5 is a reminder that God's grace was enough in your past, is enough in your present, and will be more than enough in your future. It is a fourfold wall of grace standing around you, declaring you unshakable, chosen one. Hold fast to this truth. Nothing you have laid down has been forgotten. Every yes has been written into heaven's account, and the God who promised is not a debtor. He will repay, He will restore, He will overflow. So look at your life not as barren ground, but as a vineyard waiting for the rain. Look at your obedience not as loss, but as a field already planted, and lift your eyes, for the harvest is closer than you think. Chosen one. The path you have chosen is not the wide road. It is the narrow one, and though it is not crowded, though it sometimes feels lonely, it is the road that leads to life. Many see it, but few choose it. Yet you did. You chose the road of faith instead of ease, of truth instead of compromise. The narrow road has never promised comfort. It has promised clarity, destiny, and the presence of God, walking step by step with you. Though others may rush down wide avenues filled with distraction and applause, you walk with steady steps, eyes fixed on the one who called you. As Jesus declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 14, "But small is the gate, and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." This is not a warning for you. It is a confirmation of what you have already chosen. You found the narrow road, and you entered it, and though it feels hidden and lonely, it is marked by the footprints of saints who walked it before you. Think of Noah. While the world mocked and ignored, he chose to obey. He built an ark where no rain had fallen. That was the narrow road, and because he chose it, life was preserved. Think of Elijah on Mount Carmel, alone against hundreds of false prophets. He stood, seemingly outnumbered, yet he chose truth, and fire from heaven proved his God was alive. You, too, walk in that same stream. Your choice may have made you feel isolated, but you are not alone. You are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, those who chose the narrow road before you and are cheering you on. Imagine a mountain trail, steep and rugged. The wide road runs below, smooth, easy, full of travelers, but the narrow trail winds higher, hidden by trees. Few climb it, but those who do see vistas unseen by the crowd. At the summit, the air is pure, the view breathtaking, the reward eternal. There was once a chosen one who chose honesty when compromise could have gained them instant reward. They lost money, friends, and standing. For years, they wondered if they had done right. But later, doors opened that no compromise could unlock. That single choice became the foundation of a life marked by integrity and trust. The narrow way costs more, but it gives more. It strips away the shallow and offers what cannot be shaken, a life rooted in eternity. You may have wondered why your path felt lonely. It is because you are not meant to walk where everyone else walks. You are meant to walk where destiny is carved. The narrow road is not for the many, it is for the chosen, and you are among them. Hold your head high, even when weary. The path may be steep, but it is secure, and every step is a step deeper into the heart of God. Chosen one. Remember this, you are not behind. You are not lost. You are right where you are supposed to be, on the narrow road that leads to life. Few find it, but you did. And because you did, heaven calls you faithful. Chosen one. Take courage. Each step you take upon this narrow road is not unnoticed. Heaven counts them. Heaven celebrates them. And heaven is preparing the reward your faithfulness deserves. Chosen one. The season you have entered is one of acceleration. Do not be surprised when doors that once remained shut begin to swing open, or when paths that seemed blocked suddenly clear. It is not coincidence, it is the timing of heaven. Your obedience has positioned you for movement. Acceleration is not always about speed, it is about timing. For years, you may have felt stuck, as though the wheels of your life turned without progress. But like an arrow resting in the bow, the tension was necessary. The pull backward was preparation for the release forward. And now, that release is near. The prophet Haggai records in chapter 2, verse 9, "The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house, says the Lord Almighty. And in this place I will grant peace." This is the truth over you. What is ahead will not only redeem what was behind, it will surpass it. The glory coming will outweigh the pain past. Think of a runner crouched at the starting line. For a moment, it looks like stillness, like nothing is happening. But in reality, every muscle is charged with energy, waiting for the signal. When the command is given, the burst forward is unstoppable. That is where you stand now, poised in divine anticipation. Acceleration can feel sudden. One moment, the field looks barren. The next, it is bursting with life. One moment, the sky is cloudless. The next, rain is pouring. And that is how God often moves: quiet preparation, then sudden outpouring. There was once a chosen one who endured years of obscurity. They worked faithfully, unnoticed, behind the scenes. Then, in a single moment, God elevated them into a place of influence they never sought. Looking back, they realized every hidden year had been fuel for the sudden breakthrough. Your story carries the same rhythm. Another image, a river frozen in winter. The surface looks hard, immovable, lifeless. But beneath the ice, currents still move. And when spring comes, the thaw is quick, the flow unstoppable. That is the acceleration of your life. What looked delayed was only hidden movement, waiting for its season. Chosen one. This is not to say the journey ahead will be effortless. Acceleration still requires focus. A runner must stay in their lane. An arrow must fly, true. But the effort you once carried alone is now carried by grace. You will find that what once exhausted you will now feel lighter, because heaven is pushing you forward. So, when the opportunities come, do not shrink back. Do not wonder if you are worthy. You have already been prepared in secret. You have already been refined in fire. The season of acceleration is not a reward for perfection, but the fruit of faithfulness. Chosen one. Lift your eyes with expectation. The pace of your story is shifting. What took years will take months. What took months will take days. not because you forced it, but because heaven has chosen to accelerate you for such a time as this. And remember, acceleration is not chaos. It is divine order, moving swiftly. It is the hand of God rearranging the pieces at a pace beyond your control, but not beyond His wisdom. Do not fear the speed, embrace the flow. For you are not being hurled without direction. You are being carried like a ship with the wind of heaven in its sails. And where His wind blows, no obstacle can stand. Chosen one, the fire you walked through has forged something unshakable inside of you. What once threatened to consume you has now become the very flame that fuels your strength. You are not the same as before. You are resilient, refined, and radiant. What was meant to break you has become the testimony that crowns you. Do you realize what this means? You are unstoppable now. The storms may still come. The winds may still blow. But nothing can move a soul that has already proven faithful in the fire. Your roots go deeper. Your spirit stands taller. Your light shines brighter. The Apostle Paul proclaims in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 37, "No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us." More than a conqueror, that is who you are. Not simply surviving, not just enduring, but conquering and carrying victory with you into every space you enter. Let me paint this picture. A warrior standing on the battlefield after the fight. The armor bears dents. The shield carries scars. But the warrior is still standing, still breathing, still holding the sword high. That is you. The dents do not mean defeat. They prove you endured and won. Or picture a lighthouse battered by waves. For years the ocean crashes against it. Storms howl around it. But the light never goes out. Ships find safety because of that unwavering glow. That is your spirit now unshaken. A steady light for others who are still tossed in storms. And here, chosen one, is where I gently invite you into something beautiful. What God has done in you is not meant to remain hidden. The light you carry was never for you alone. It is for the world around you. When I invite you to like this message, see it as more than a click. See it as lifting your lantern high on the hill. It is your way of saying, the light is still burning in me, and I will not hide it. When I ask you to share it, do not think of it as routine. Picture instead a river spilling over its banks, flowing outward to fields that have been dry. Sharing is your way of saying, what refreshed me, I will let flow into someone else's life. And when I speak of writing a comment, think of it not as words on a screen, but as a seed planted in the soil. Long after you've moved on, that seed will sprout at the right time, and someone passing by will gather fruit from the courage you left behind. Your words may be the nourishment another weary soul desperately needed. Finally, when I ask you to subscribe, see it as stepping into a circle of firelight where others gather. Each person adds wood to the flames, and together, the fire never dies. Subscribing is choosing to remain close to that warmth, to hear the stories, to share your own, to walk in community rather than isolation. None of these are obligations. They are invitations, acts of beauty, ways of saying, I am part of this flame, and I want it to shine further. Chosen one, you are unstoppable now. You carry the marks of fire, but also the glow of victory. And as you let that victory spill outward, others will find hope in your endurance. The world needs the light you now carry, and heaven smiles. Because you did not just survive, you overcame, chosen one. As you have walked through these seasons of testing and breakthrough, something remarkable has settled upon your life. It is more than strength, more than resilience. It is a mantle, a covering of authority that heaven has placed on you because you proved faithful in the hidden places. This mantle is not fabric you can touch. It is weight you can feel. It rests on your shoulders. Unseen, but undeniable. The enemy sees it and trembles. Angels see it and rejoice. Heaven sees it and calls you entrusted. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 19. So Elijah went from there and found Elisha, son of Shaphat. He was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen, and he himself was driving the 12th pair. Elijah went up to him and threw his cloak around him. The mantle Elijah laid on Elisha symbolized more than responsibility. It was a transfer of authority. It was heaven saying, "You are next. You are chosen for greater." So it is with you. Your obedience has become the qualification for God to place weight upon your life that cannot be earned by status or education or applause. It comes only through surrender. Picture a crown being forged in fire, each jewel carefully set, each edge refined. To the world, the process looks harsh, even destructive, but in the end, the crown emerges, gleaming, priceless. That is your mantle, shaped in the fire of trial, purified in the heat of testing, now shining with heaven's authority. This mantle is not just for your benefit. It carries purpose beyond yourself. Authority in the kingdom is never self-serving. It is always for service. The mantle means your voice will carry weight, not because of who you are, but because of who you represent. When you speak, heaven backs your words. When you move, angels go before you. Think of Moses before Pharaoh, alone, holding nothing but a staff. Yet the staff was not ordinary. It was the sign of God's authority. Every miracle flowed through it. Every sign carried heaven's weight. Your mantle functions the same way. It may not look like much outwardly, but it carries divine force. There was once a chosen one who endured a long season of being overlooked. They served faithfully, gave quietly, prayed consistently. No title, no recognition, no applause. Yet when the time came, heaven placed a mantle on them, and suddenly doors opened. Influence flowed, and their words pierced hearts, not because they were louder, but because they were mantled, chosen one. This is now your reality. The mantle does not make life easier, it makes life purposeful. It does not remove battles, it gives you authority to fight them differently. It does not erase your scars, it transforms them into symbols of your calling. Imagine walking into a room with a torch in your hand. Before, the darkness felt overwhelming, but now, wherever you go, shadows scatter. Not because of you, but because of the flame you carry. That is the mantle, God's flame resting on you, announcing His presence through your life. Do not despise the weight you feel. The mantle can be heavy at times. Elisha tore his old clothes. When Elijah's cloak fell upon him, it was the sign that his life would never be the same. And yours will not either. The mantle demands surrender, but it also brings power. Chosen one. You carry more than you realize. Heaven has clothed you with authority, and when heaven clothes you, nothing on earth can strip it away. Chosen one, the journey has brought you here, to the place where heaven crowns you, not with gold that fades, not with praise that passes, but with glory that endures forever. Your story is not one of mere survival, it is one of victory sealed by the hand of God. This crown is not earned by striving, it is bestowed by faithfulness. Every unseen act of obedience, every whispered prayer, every battle fought in silence has woven together into a testimony worthy of reward. And now, the Father himself delights to honor you. The Apostle writes in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 25, they do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. This is your inheritance, a crown not of metal, but of meaning, a crown that reflects eternity, a crown that cannot tarnish, because it is forged in obedience and sealed in God's presence. Picture a royal ceremony, a hall filled with light, voices lifted in song, angels gathered as witnesses. You walk forward, not in pride, but in humility, and the Father places the crown upon your head. It shines not because of wealth, but because of what it represents: faithfulness, perseverance, trust. Another image, a marathon runner crossing the finish line. Sweat pours down, muscles ache, but joy overwhelms. The crown is not just for the last step, it is for every mile endured, every hill climbed, every moment the runner refused to quit. So it is with you. The crown is not for one act, but for a lifetime of surrender. There was once a chosen one who doubted they would make it through their season of waiting. They stumbled. They wept. They almost turned back. Yet they kept walking. And in time, their story became radiant, a living testimony of God's sustaining grace. The crown placed upon their life was not a reward for perfection, but for perseverance. And so it will be for you, chosen one. This crown is more than honor, it is identity. It marks you as one who belongs, one who is known, one who is forever part of the family of heaven. The world may never have recognized you, but heaven does. Angels call you faithful. The Father calls you beloved. The crown is his declaration. This one is mine. Do not be afraid of its weight. A crown is meant to rest on your head, not to burden, but to affirm. It sits as a reminder of who you are and whose you are. When storms rise again, when doubts whisper, remember the crown. Let it remind you that nothing can undo what God has already sealed. Imagine a night sky filled with stars. Among them, one crown-shaped constellation gleams brighter than the rest. It is fixed, unshaken, unchanging. That is your story now, a light crowned in glory, placed in the heavens as testimony for generations to see. So, walk with dignity, not arrogance, but dignity. The crown does not make you above others. It makes you a servant marked with glory. It is not the end of the journey, but the seal of God's delight over your life. Chosen one. You are crowned, not tomorrow. Not someday, you are crowned now, and that crown will never fade. Chosen one. As we close this journey together, pause for a moment and breathe. Do you feel it? The weight has shifted. The voice of doubt is quieter, and the truth has risen stronger. You are chosen. You are seen, and you are deeply pleasing to God. This is not the end of your story, it is a beginning. Every step you have walked, every hidden yes, every tear in the night has prepared you for the light you now carry. And that light is not fragile, it is steady, unshakable, and meant to shine far beyond you. When you like this message, think of it not as a button pressed, but as your lantern lifted high on the hill. It tells the world, my light is alive, and I will not hide it. When you share, see it as pouring a stream of water into another's cup. Someone thirsty, someone weary, someone on the edge of giving up will taste hope again because you allowed the overflow from your life to reach them. When you comment, let it be a seed dropped in the soil of the path. Maybe only a few words, but words that will sprout later for someone walking the same road. They will read what you left behind, and it will be strength for their weary steps. And when you subscribe, imagine yourself stepping closer to the circle of firelight. Around it, other chosen ones gather. Each brings a stick of wood, each brings a flame, and together the fire burns brighter. Subscription is not about following, it is about belonging, about staying where warmth and light never fade. These are not commands, they are invitations, beautiful, voluntary acts that mirror the obedience you already chose. You are free, yet when you respond, you are saying, I am part of this story, and I will carry the flame further. So, walk on with peace. You are crowned, you are chosen, and your light will never go out.